So welcome everyone, I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Airwalk. This is my Ask Ivy show where you drop a $10 donation and whatever your question is, I will answer it and be delivering messages from spirit. If you are on Instagram or TikTok, Mairead, my beautiful producer, is going to be dropping the instructions in the comment section because she can't really pin it to the top. If you are on Facebook or YouTube, the description area above or below will have instructions, okay, on how you can drop your question. Please do include your name if it is any different than your payment. So if your social media name is completely different than the payment you dropped, Mairead, my producer, is going to need to match those two up to ensure that you get your reading while the show is live. If you want to book a private reading, Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. I do work internationally. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Who do we have first? Bethany? Bethany says, can you help me better understand the motives of a new friend, Linda? Her energy is confusing to decipher. What are Linda's motives? Linda seems to be going through some mental health stuff, some anxiety, some triggers. I guess you could call it stress. It becomes more stressful, I think, when you are actively trying to process things sometimes. And what may be happening with her is that she's going through avoidance and escapism to avoid that stress, to avoid that discomfort, to stop herself from having to grow and learn and be centered. When someone is sort of dodging the bullets of life, you know, when someone is trying to avoid who they really are, how they're really feeling, what shadow work, you know, the universe is trying to get them to process, they end up acting like this. And, you know, it's up to you what you do in response to her kind of odd, inconsistent, awkward behavior. But the reality is that when you're dealing with someone like her, you're dealing with kind of half a person, or I call them zombies. And she doesn't act like that 100% of the time, but when she's in that zone of avoidance and escapism, she's kind of like a zombie. It's sort of like no one's home. So if you've ever dealt with someone like this in an intimate relationship, I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Help sister out here, you know. You've ever dealt with a family member who is doing this, or heaven forbid, you were raised by a parent who couldn't process things. You find that a great deal of the time, the relationship ends up being one-sided, or it's entirely one-sided. They can't really offer you very much in the way of availability and self-awareness. And so the active listening may not be there, or it's there inconsistently. And whenever they go through something, it will end up being that the relationship is entirely about them. They forget you even really exist. You're just there to serve them. So you do want to be careful when you're dealing with someone like this, that it remains balanced. And I would just recommend always that in dealing with someone who has these issues, hey, if they're growing and they're changing and they're trying to work through it, so be it. We all have baggage we're trying to work through, right? Or are we? If she isn't trying to grow and learn and improve herself through it, you may as well just leave, because what's the point, right? You'll never get back. Ayana is next. Ayana says, what is coming up for me in August? August for Ayana, what is coming up? Possibly an offer. It seems like the second week someone is talking to you, or at least thinking about coming to you and talking to you. Will it spill into the third week? I think it's possible, but there's dialogue of wanting to move you up or offer you something. I think that you may be seen in the month of August as being someone who can bring a lot to the table, who could help out a company, who could help out someone who needs your expertise, your stick-to-itiveness, your ability to sort of come in and like organize or manage, you know, just head something up. The thing with that is it's not really a compliment to be invited. It's a compliment to get paid. And that's the only type of compliment you should be accepting. Okay. So, you know, it's kind of like, it's sort of like being picked or chosen in dating, right? A lot of times you're like, that doesn't feel like an honor as much as a disrespect. You know, it's this energy that you need to bring like that you seem to understand in that area of life to all areas of life. When money is involved, when a title is involved, when someone can convince you that they're offering you something that's going to help you out with like leverage and networking and look great on your resume, right? Or like you as the brand, like help you to be seen. It's like a lot of collab work that people reach out and offer. I'll pass. You just make sure you're getting paid. Okay. Most important thing. And that, Ayana, is going to span across all areas of your life. It's not just going to be resources in August. Okay. Remember, everything is a resource, including your time, attention, energy, affection. That also counts as a resource. All right, we're going to move on to another one. This is from Edgar Velardes. Does my paternal grandfather, Margarito, have any messages for me? You know, I see him sort of taking I don't know what kind of instrument this is, but it's almost like he's very calm. He's very poker faced. He's very sort of stoic. He looks to be a little bit almost numbed out from the world coming at him. He learned how to stay steady in the storm. He has passed this down to you, and he wants you to identify it more, understand it more, appreciate it in your roots more, bring it out to the forefront more, like presenting that way or showing other people how to do it. I think it's showing other people how to do it because it's sort of naturally presenting on its own. But he has some type of a tool that reminds me of, like, I don't know, a hoe or a shovel or a tiller. And it's like what he's showing me here is like tilling the soil, getting ready to plant some seeds. And I feel like this is representative of where you are right now and where you're headed and what you're doing. So it's almost like you're getting the land ready to plant some seeds. And you're, of course, optimistic that once they get in there, they will grow, or you wouldn't be doing all of this. So he's trying to remind you of what you've been working through, why you're there, why you're doing all of this. And then he's showing like lighting up a cigar, which is a symbol of celebration, but it doesn't come in this fireworks 4th of July, like super fun, wild energy. It's almost like a quiet hallelujah. It's almost ceremonial the way he smokes this thing. Okay. Nice, slow, smooth, almost like taking it in and feeling it through your lungs, through your body, appreciation of the self, the labor, and then there will be a period of rest. I feel like what he just showed you was a whole timeline on what's coming up for you and where you are. A lot of love to you. There's a lot of similarity between the two of you. All right, we're going to move on to another one. This is Elvin Ramos. Elvin, do my grandparents have a message for me? Grandparents. I feel like they're split. I feel like you've got one on dad's side coming through. I want to say grandfather. Grandmother on mom's side coming through. Grandfather talking about TikTok. So it seems like you're entering into a period of time right now. You just did, maybe even less 48 hours, where things are changing and things are on a deadline. So there could be some movement. You could also feel like, you know, there's the pressure of time coming upon you, where you feel like the winds of change are here, or things are about to shift. There's this symbol of you falling down the hole. Your grandfather's using of like Alice in Wonderland. So if you're not familiar with that scene, you may want to go back and watch it. But it's this idea that within the last 48 hours, you kind of fell down this hole. Now, this is a symbol of exploration. This is a symbol of ultimately you entering into a period of time here in a minute of free will, but right now you're sort of at the mercy of the universe. And so you may be feeling a little bit like you're free falling. Just remember, as soon as she hits that ground, it's up to her to pick up her free will and start making decisions and moves. I'm hearing strategy, almost like playing a chess game. So he's going to be helping you through that. Your grandmother is just talking about this being a time of healing your heart. So if you've been doing anything, whether it be like drumming, music, meditation, being at the water, doing anything ceremoniously where you're coming in tuned and in touch with yourself and spirit more. I don't see anyone else there. I see the phone off. I see maybe a cup of tea, you know, just being more centered within yourself. This is for 3 weeks. You need to make sure you're doing this on a daily basis. You could be feeling like the boat is rocking a little bit in the waters, okay, which is a sign of emotional state. She is also with you. I feel you coming out the other end, though, with new beginnings. Good times. Good times for change. Josie says, how does Greg K feel about me? Should I pursue him? Greg K. How does he feel about you? And should you pursue him? I would not necessarily pursue him, but I do think you're going to be around him. So there could be some situations where you're in the same area, you're in the same vicinity. And so I think that you could see pursuing him as just being in his company and communicating with him, you know, being available, being nearby. That I'm okay with. And you could do whatever you want. I mean, it's just my take on this, but I don't feel like this person is very motivated to do much. This may be someone who sees relationship partners, if they can even really qualify as that, relationship partners as people who are here to bring more to him. It's almost like an attitude of entitlement, like, if I'm gracing you with my presence, what are you doing for me? You know, what can I get out of this relationship, including caretaking? I don't love that word, especially this early on in a relationship. Granted, we may all look for a love partnership to feel better cared for at different times. That's a given, but should that be front and center, main thing, first thing I see? No. You know what I would like to see more of? Maybe like, what do I have to offer? You know, maybe him thinking more in terms of like, what do I have to give a love partner? We don't see any of that here. So that puts you in a position where you would probably have to chase. You would probably have to then manage the relationship if it becomes that, or if we can even really consider it looking like a partnership of any kind. And then, you know, to walk back later and say, I didn't get anything really out of this. Why did I keep overreaching? Okay. So a good solution is not to overreach from the beginning. Okay. Let's see if he can come to you and then maintain it. We'll see. I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket with this one. Manny Corregidor, can I get a message from my spirit guide in regards to my psychic mediumship unfoldment? Love this question. It's mostly your joy guide. This took an odd turn. I was psychically seeing some other things for you, but we're going to go with your joy guide on this. Let's talk about paranormal activity. So your joy guide is talking about you going backward, okay, before you can go forward. And this is about your childhood. This is about the ghosts in the closet. This is about the monsters under the bed. This is about paranormal activity in the house. Even if you lost a grandparent and you were like seeing them in spirit when you were little, you know, and maybe your family knew you were a medium and it wasn't anything super weird, you know, but like, it feels like you've been haunted. It feels like from childhood, maybe without explanation, proper education, the proper training, you've lived from haunted house to haunted house, or paranormal experience, especially between 3 and 5:30 in the morning, the haunting hour, which happens internationally, okay, for all mediums. I think that you have a lot of unanswered questions there that you haven't been totally willing to either examine or accept the answers to. And your joy guide is trying to come in and have you look at the paranormal aspects. Now, when I say paranormal, when your guide is using that word paranormal, we're not talking about like demons and dark entities from, you know, that crawled up out of hell and like all these negative connotations that can come through from using certain tools. You know, it's not that as much as it's just the unexplained. It's why intelligent spirit energy comes to interact with you your whole life. Why is that happening? What does it mean? What are you supposed to do with it? And also, I think it has a lot to do with your comfort level. Do you understand the difference between high vibrational and low vibrational spirits? Because unfortunately, when you're a natural medium, you attract both. So we're talking about discernment, we're talking about boundaries, we're talking about curiosity there, and feeling safe to be more curious. This is going to be a bit of a long haul with this topic. So I feel like for the next 2 months, your joy guide is going to be helping you with this, as well as your protector guide. And I would expect a lot of activity at night. Okay. And it can be a little creepy at times, but maybe journal it. Yes, as he agrees. Very interesting. Hope to see you at the Psychic Mediumship course. We start August 12th. Yes, you can come up here. Maraid says, hi, Ivy, just received my paycheck. Okay. From work. It's significantly lower than normal due to my pension coming out. I was not even paid enough to cover my rent. Okay, what do I do now? Well, I think that understanding the pattern is the first thing. So the first thing I'm hearing is like, don't freak out, don't panic. You understanding how this will be happening on a regular basis is something you really need to know in order to, move forward more successfully, organized. There is a big call here for you to potentially pick up either extra shifts. I heard extra shifts. I don't even know if that's an option where you are. I felt like that may involve picking up a side hustle or doing more with any type of side hustle that you're, running. So whether it's applying somewhere, looks like there are a ton of places you could get hired and be pretty satisfied with that income. Whether it's you doing more of your own side hustle, we see opportunities for increase there. Here's the nice thing about this problem. All doors are open to you right now. So you really don't need to do a lot of questioning about what you could do to make extra money. Anything you choose to do to make extra money will be available for you to do. Okay. I think get up over this hump and also maybe just, it's almost like a steal from Peter to pay Paul is a quick fix. Being able to postpone a payment or two over here or over here in order to get that rent paid, I think would be a great idea, or to stretch it also beyond what's the normal pay period, like 5 days. It's not due on the 1st. I mean, it is, but it's not late until when, you just need to look at some quick fixes. And I think then coming up with a plan as to how you want to proceed forward to bring in more, I love you, would be wise. Okay, but this really doesn't feel like that big of a deal. It just feels like a little bump in the road. So try not to allow it to cause you too much anxiety, which can dry up, your manifestation abilities and trigger negative law of attraction. So we don't want to start attracting problems. You're just visualizing how you're going to fix it, and that's it. Don't allow yourself to entertain anything else. Okay, and then you'll keep attracting solutions, easy solutions. Anna says, on my current path, when do you think I'll meet the man I'm going to marry? Good Lord. You know what? I invited you up, but I forgot you were covered in medicine. And it's hard for me too. I love you. I love you. I know. She's so miserable right now. Anna-Pekka, on my current path, when do you think I'll meet the man I'm going to marry? We don't have people appointed to us. Like, twin flames are a myth. We don't have people appointed to us that will marry. We have like 5 to 6 soulmate options that would be potentially, maybe, good marriage partners, and then you could pick one. So there isn't this isn't a destiny charted question. Even in your astrology, your numerology, your life contract, we could look at it and we could see there are potential marriage partners, but there isn't one that's like, she's going to marry this one, So those are all scams. I would be a little more open-minded about this. And I would say that you meeting someone who may bring greater value to your life and make you feel more valuable as an individual and uplifted in your day-to-day lifestyle, in your future plans, in the amount of joy and happiness and peace that you have. I think that there is someone coming in. I'm hearing about 1.5 years, but I was seeing 7 months as well. So you could be crossing paths with this person. Now I see this person on a plane, which can mean that they travel quite a lot, long distance. This does feel work related. So this person may try to combine, I mean, who doesn't, you know, work and fun, you know, work and play, work and pleasure. You could be meeting, I'm seeing M, okay? So this could be, but like the mountains as well. So I don't know if this is like Minnesota or like a Maine or Michigan. So there's some talk here of the two of you crossing paths. I think this is going to have to happen. Sorry, sister, on a dating app. If you can get on any dating apps, you're already on, stay on, that involve like professionals. Oh my God, Esmeralda Marie. That involve like professionals, only meeting professionals, maybe meeting other people who, how do I want to say this? There's a certain type of like faith. It speaks to education is what I'm really feeling, you know, but there's a certain level of faith that may be required. I'm not saying go to like, I don't know if it's even a real thing like christianmingle.com, but whatever your faith is, you know, you may want to stick with dating apps that are a little bit more designated to people who have money, who are capable of earning money, who have some sense of self or faith or morality. You know, there are sites that are better than like Tinder, you know, Plenty of Fish, Bumble. I mean, you know, we're in a different bracket here. So what ends up happening is that highest likelihood, there's some crossing of paths at about 7 months. It may come together at about 1.5 years. You have free will and this person has free will. I cannot give 100% guarantees on whether or not it's going to work out. You know, if that timeline's going to hit exactly like that, but that's the ballpark designated, destiny charted agreement to meet up before you came to Earth. I see light eyes. I see salt and pepper hair. Quite tall. I think I'm pushing 6'2", probably more like 6'1". Like big hands, like longer hands, but like I manicure my hands. So not like man hands, like manicured hands. Yeah, this person has a lot of money. This person really only cares about money. I don't see it as a problem because you seem to be coming at it pretty casual, you know? So just because someone's a bit of a workaholic doesn't mean they can't make room for you if it works out. We'll see. Possibility 2, I would be careful if you're not open to having children. Possibility 2 children with this person. Potential set of twins, or they can make a liar out of me and switch it up and come through as individuals, but like back to back. This could be a whole thing. This may end up being a whole thing. Okay, interesting. Let's move on to Lucy Marsh. Lucy, thank you. Okay, Lucy. Lucy, any advice for me from my love and career guides? Okay. Love and career. Okay, so let's talk to your money guide first. I see some opportunities dropping in your lap, but you seem to be like, I don't see them. I don't want them. There's a tarot card where there's a guy sitting under a tree and he's got cups spilled around him. And it's like the hand of God or the universe is like handing him a cup. I don't know. Maybe I'm combining a couple cards. Maybe I'm doing this wrong, but like, that's how I'm seeing it. It's like you're being offered something. You're like, I don't want it, you know, or it's not what I thought it was going to be, or not right now, or whatever. Maybe you're dealing with a little burnout. I think that it's important for you to understand that there are a lot of opportunities around you right now. And that if you were to use this time to try and invest in some new opportunities, different paths, they may pay out very nicely, but you have to be a little bit more open-minded. You don't have to, you know, hip, hip, hooray, I'm super excited about this. This is the job I've always dreamed of. But you can at least say, you know what, I'm not going to judge anything right now. I'm just going to go with it. You know, let me judge later once I'm in it. So I see a flow of resources, but it doesn't come for free. It comes with your willingness to go after it. In the area of, I'm also hearing dot your I's, cross your T's on a contract. So there could be some other contract you're looking at. I can tell if this is residential and or possibly some type of shared income, okay, with somebody else. Just dot the I's, cross the T's on contracts coming up the next couple months. In the area of love and relationships, it feels a little bit like you're taking some time for you. You're being a little guarded about your personal space, your mentality, your inner peace, and you're only letting in people who uplift you. So if you have a tendency to want to say no to people around this time, that's absolutely fine. And if you know that they're going to bring in positivity, it's going to be an exchange that uplifts you, go ahead and trade energy with people for maybe short bouts of time, short periods of time, and then you can go right back to your personal space. But I see you being quite picky, rightfully so. You need to conserve your energy for other things right now. Joanne Sarama Gray says, just lost my job unexpectedly. Anything would be helpful. Okay, what's going on with Joanne's work? Best thing for you to do right now is to pay close attention to your life contract, okay, which matches your numerology chart, your Vedic or Western astrology. You are in a period of time, you're in a 2-year cycle, but you're in a period of time, you're leaving the old behind. You're supposed to take this as an opportunity, not a punishment, not a dismantling of your progress, but an opportunity to climb up out of a pit, because this wasn't really working for you anyways. You may not have wanted to admit that, or you may have been trying to be passive in the process and say, well, I need to be grateful I have work, you know. Well, I'm blessed. I'm not going to complain or rock the boat about it, but maybe you should have. And now you are in this place where the universe is giving you, again, an opportunity to climb up out of what feels like a bit of a pit where you were stuck in a cycle. The idea of the universe giving you a ladder and you being able to very quickly climb up that ladder suggests a couple different things. Yes, a big transition if you use your free will wisely and you don't allow yourself to feel defeated in this. If you are approaching positions that are higher up management, that are independent contracting, that are consultant work, that whatever you do is putting you in a position of greater power than where you were, allowing for more expansion and advancement with the amount that you can get paid or require payment, in what amount, but also your schedule, dictating your day-to-day lifestyle more. Your ability to work, yeah, I guess at certain hours during the day, but also like for chunks of time. Maybe you want to get into lines of work where you're only working for a few weeks and then you're off for a while. You know, you are having this opportunity to create your career and your lifestyle in the way that you want to, and this has been holding you back. So you need to do that. You know, you need to do that now. I don't feel bad about you applying for more mainstream things, I guess we could say, but I would be a little concerned that that stuff may not last. So just be mindful, again, that it's really important you're in a position of power. You have room for expansion without having to like ask an employer for it, or I hope I'm up next in line, or I'm going to bid on it. No. Like when you're self-employed, I want to expand. I'm expanding tomorrow. Okay. If you need this freedom for yourself. Let's move on to another one. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I so appreciate your support. Please drop a testimonial if this reading is resonating with you, or if you've ever gotten a reading with me before. It helps your fellow community members here make a decision as to whether or not they want to ask a question. Also, if everyone could please give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment of any kind. It helps me out in the algorithm. Please do share and subscribe. I appreciate you so much. And let's move on to Nancy Ann. Is there a message for me from Spirit? Well, you've got quite a few messages here. I don't think You're listening very well. You may want to increase, okay, the amount of time you spend with spirit on a daily basis, not in a deep, like meditational weird space, just in a very simple, like I have my morning cup of coffee or tea and I'm going to sit here with my guides, you know, and my deceased loved ones and my higher mind. And for 10 to 15 minutes every single morning, we're going to get messages. Maybe do that again at night. Okay. So things are getting backed up here. I feel like one of the things going on with you is that you are experiencing, or you just started even in the last like 24 to 48 hours, that you've maybe started to experience, I'm hearing a lapse. It could feel a little bit like stagnancy, mouse on a wheel energy. I'm stuck with a lot of control. I feel disempowered. I feel like I want movement, but I can't create movement. I'm not getting what I want. This didn't work out the way I thought it would. We could be looking at two different areas of your life. And it's this sort of feeling of how do I create motion, you know, and in what direction do I even want to create that motion? So there has definitely been put into place by this time, by the time of this reading anyways, some change. And I think you're going to want to process that as quickly and efficiently as you can, asking really important questions about what in your day-to-day lifestyle has not been working, what in your relationships has not been working, and what in your relationship to your resources could use a bit of an upgrade, a little bit of polishing, you know, light a little bit more fire in your belly so that you feel more fulfilled and in alignment, because these are the areas where the change is coming. Okay, and you want to be able to steer that ship now that it has started, so that you're feeling less disempowered, even if these changes weren't necessarily what you had scheduled. Okay, so definitely a time for an upgrade here. Julie, Lindsay. Hi, Ivy. My mother, Stephanie, recently passed away. Okay, because I'm getting someone sick. I'm getting a hospital. Hold on a second. Stephanie. She recently passed away, my mom. Does she have any messages for me? Thank you. The first thing, before I could barely even finish up Nancy Ann here, and your mom was here, making me feel like I can't breathe, like there's heaviness in the chest, or like a weightedness down at the bottom. I can't prescribe a diagnosis. Could have been COPD or something like that, or water, you know, fluid in the lungs. There's just a general feeling of like, this isn't even my only problem. I have problems here. I have problems down at the feet, which can suggest circulation, blood pressure, you know, things like that. But I think that ultimately she was feeling very kind of stuck, you know, in her body. She was feeling like old in her body. Even if she wasn't that old, she was feeling like her body was aging rapidly, and it wasn't matching her personality, her spirit. She comes through, I want to say, looking young, looking beautiful, dancing, laughing, silly. She's showing me 13, herself at 13. She's showing me 16, and then she's showing me like 26, 27. So I really feel like she came into her own around that time in her life. And she's absolutely beautiful, glowing. So she may show up as having gone back in age when she comes through and visits. She said she visited you, and I think this was last night. Take it out resonates. She's saying one, so either like last night or like a day ago, or she's been trying to come through for a day. But I do feel like she accomplished this. She's trying to come through and visit you in a dream to let you know that she is okay. Expect that the encounter with her, it would have been brief. Her mouth was not moving. You communicate telepathically when it's a real visit, but it brings a lot of peace and warmth. And allowing you, she keeps saying allowance, you need allowance, give her allowance, allowing you to move on from any questions that you have as to whether or not she's okay, and did you guys do the right things, and could, you know, is she happy, will she still be around, like, yes, okay, yes to all of these things. I feel like she's confronting you a little bit on your struggling to allow yourself to detach from her in the way that you had been attached when she was here as a living human being. You know, now she's in spirit, because energy never dies. It just transforms and changes. but she wants you to allow for this new relationship to start growing and allow for yourself to let go of the way it used to be. She's also giving a red rose, which is a birthday or anniversary right around this time. It can also be a passing anniversary or deep love. Take it out, resonates. And somebody did not get a proper goodbye. I want to say give out a white rose to that person. I was originally feeling a male, but now I think there could be a female connected to this person as well. So anyone who didn't get a proper goodbye or has a lack of closure, give out love to them as well. She loves you very much. She's in a really good place. She's a really good communicator. Lavender time. Okay. Feeling lost. Just need a sense of direction, what to focus on or do next. Lavender time is feeling lost. What should they focus on or do next? I heard your money, actually. Your money, your work. But some of it feels more like life's work. Not to say you can't get paid for doing your life's work. Isn't the ultimate goal to do something we're called to do and receive something back for it, right? Resources. I think that's where it's at right now. I think that what you need to be focused on, and this is coming up right over here, which is the future, destiny charted. Okay, so what's written for you in your life contract, or we could say more accurately, what you wrote in your life contract, what you decided you wanted to be working on in this stage of your life. It feels a little bit like throwing people overboard and focusing more on your work. If you have been dealing with people who are a drain of energy, who don't like to stand on their own 2 feet, who are victims, who are needy, who are moochers, who are leeches, you know, all the things, even if it is not being heavily invested in those people, you may be detoxing from all of that. And that has already started. I want to say in the last couple of weeks, it's been increasing. But going forward, you're supposed to be focused on your life's purpose work. So this involves the way you speak, communicate, teach, lead, share information, maybe even gather information and then give it out to others. This is about your ability to be creative, use your creative skills in organization or project management or project creation. And through that work, people are also healed in different ways. I think that you may be a little bit stuck in a rut here where you feel like you can't really do that, or you shouldn't be putting too much more time and attention on that, possibly due to like the current resources you have. And I do feel like, yes, we could be talking about money and time, but your energy level too, you know? So if you were thinking also of doing something like starting a new workout routine, a healthier eating regime, you may want to get into that now. I'm not saying pop a bunch of vitamins and get into God knows what's in, you know, these pills. But there is a sense of needing more balance, and I can't prescribe or diagnose, but like in your body. So it's not just energetic that like the exercise can bring, for example, it's literally in like nutrition, okay, chemicals, you know, things like this. So bringing in more balance that way as well. And I even wonder if that's what you're talking about. I even wonder if that's something you end up sharing information about. Now that I say it, it all seems to kind of land on that. Interesting. Yeah. Little bit of change going on there for sure. It's like a pause right now. Edgar Velardes, moving on to the next one. Edgar says, does Spirit have messages for me regarding August 2025? August 2025 for Edgar. There could be some chaos in the third week toward the end. I don't know if it starts like maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, and then it's come to a head by the end of the week. Somebody may be getting fired. Not you, but you're kind of caught up in this. I don't know if they're asking you. You know, sometimes we get caught up in things and then it's like we're asked to bear witness, or, you know, we're put in an uncomfortable position. We would rather just bury our heads or run off and hide. Like, I'm not speaking to this. I didn't see anything. I don't know what you're even talking about. I wasn't there. I don't know what approach you're going to take. It's up to your free will, but I do feel like you're pulling. I feel that highest likelihood is that you're pulling out of it. sometimes in situations like that, you can just play dumb and just quite literally be like, I don't know anything about that. Or the information that you give is very simplistic enough that you look useless, and then you're kind of you're off the hook. Something's going on weird, but I do think that for the rest of the month, I'm hearing your loyalty being tested also, which is interesting, because loyalty to what? Define loyalty. Like, where is that supposed to go? A lot of questions coming up within you. So just let it play out, let it process. And I think that be very careful with like gossip, because anything that gets said is not really the way you think it is. It's not for the ears and the eyes. That you think it is. It's going elsewhere. Something comes out of your mouth and it gets transferred, and it could be more serious or deadly than what it originally seemed. I think that there's a lot of stirring in the third week, in the fourth week, maybe something astrological going on for you, where you could feel like there are quite a lot of battles also, maybe like on the streets. I feel like be careful driving, look both ways again, a little extra, slow things down. People around you acting a bit nutty. There could be some transit with Mars going on. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments section where we are astrologically with that around that time. Again, that's between the third and the fourth week I'm talking about in August. And I think it can create, right, Mars being, is it Mars Aries, and then Mars is like the planet of war, like people could be acting nutty. Stay in your bubble. It's not your problem unless you make it your problem, okay? Or unless you walk right into the middle of it. So being mindful is going to be key for you. I also think that at the end of the first week going into the second week, you may be writing some things down that seem to involve your finances. It's almost like I'm balancing the books, or I'm writing out my checkbook, or I'm figuring out where I want my finances to be. And you may be going out like 6 months, 7 months to a year and saying, this is what I want with my finances. And I think it's a really good time for you to write that out and then stick to it. It's like, put it up on your fridge and stick to it. Okay. We have another one here from Anna. Hi, everyone. Also, sorry, I haven't been able to look at the comments section, but I see Joanne, Laura, Karen, everyone saying hello. Good to see you guys. Anna Pekka, with what I'm currently doing on social media, when do you think I'll see a pickup for another opportunity career-wise? Okay, how is Anna Pekka's social media connected to career opportunities? Soon. I see a week and 3 days. The third day could also represent Wednesday. Somebody essentially talking to you, like saw something you posted, were talking about you, and then talking to you. So what this can mean symbolically is like something being offered to you, something being brought to you because of what you have put out. So it's this energy of being identified as the brand. Now, whenever someone is getting identified as the brand in my symbol base, it's a big difference between being identified as the brand, which is like you being seen for your skill set and your expertise, but also character and integrity, which can't come from a book. It can't come from like hands-on work experience. It has to come from the effort put within through life experience. So I see you being identified as the brand. Regularly, the way it has been in the past was you were identified for maybe like what you knew or what you did or what your title was or what you had access to. So this is a level up. This may come with bouts of quiet time. So intermittent positive reinforcement, it may feel like to you. And you're like, when am I going to have another hit? And it's like, I don't know. The universe is just like, just keep working, Yeah, that may be there for a while, but that's okay. Keep doing it. Know that you are on the right path. I think that the progress you make when it hits are big. Like these are relatively big opportunities. And remember to have an attitude of gratitude, because if we look at things, we're like, is that it? Is that it? Is that it? A lot of people got nothing. You could have got nothing. Or, you have to say, this is what I've earned so far. It's not, is this it? It's how can I use this and keep working, okay, to get even more next time. This looks good. Yeah, about a week. Ayana says, how do I handle things with my mom going forward? Okay, so I don't have mom's first name, and I'm assuming mom is alive. So I'll just go with whatever energy is in here. How should she handle things going forward with her mother? I don't really have a whole lot being said, honestly. Your mom reads as you have a grandfather coming through, mom's side of the family, and a grandmother. But your grandfather is referring to your mom as have you ever gotten hooked up to one of those heart machines, or like a pulse machine, or I don't know, it's measuring rates. Okay, I have to fix TikTok. Let me fix TikTok, and I'll just keep yelling while I do this. No, I'm yelling anyways. Okay, and then I didn't, because I cannot multitask today. So, what we're talking about here is your mother essentially having a lack of a pulse. And I think he's saying this in somewhat of a joking manner, and he's owning some of it because he may have also been that way, but there isn't a lot there. He's not saying that she's heartless. He's just saying that there isn't the amount of activity or reaction from her or exchange of energy that we would hope to see on these printouts. And these machines don't lie. These printouts don't lie. If you go in for some kind of a heart rate test or whatever, if the doctor prints out a receipt and says, this is what it looks like, that's probably what it looks like. I think you've struggled with that. And as your grandmother steps in here, she's talking about you struggling to identify that. You're like, no, there's more there, or there will be more there, or there should be more there in this exchange between she and I and the way that she feels. I think a lot of what you want is her to feel more for you, to feel more about you, to feel more for your relationship. And it's just kind of flatlining. It feels numb to me, and it's very, I want to say typical. I mean, I see this all the time, but, for my clients, and it's sad in that you have to just take the receipts for what they are. You have to look at that, those patterns and that measurement, and you have to say, well, this is what it is. And so I'm going to exchange with her to the degree of effort she's pumping out. So if you've got a long receipt of like her flatlining and not putting a whole heck of a lot of feeling or heart or, communication or effort or energy into the relationship, then that's what you need to be putting back in. Okay. I think that one of the things I originally saw before your grandparents popped in here was just you not saying very much. You just choosing to kind of, I'm not even saying keep your cards close to your vest. It's just sort of retracting the amount of energy and mental energy and emotional energy and spiritual energy that you put in, to that relationship. It's a sad reality, and this is just for everyone, that the parent to child dynamic, is often not what we had hoped. And it seems to fall, like the burden falls on the child so much of the time, becomes a grown adult, just wanting it to be better, wanting it to be better, wanting it to be more, praying to God, something changes here. And the parent is not even considering any of that. They're not even looking at that. They didn't even know there was a problem, or they don't want to, it's not their problem. And it's like, okay, falls out of balance. Okay. Always has been, but we don't want it to stay out of balance. That's a better way to say that. Deanna Ka. What advice can you give me to heal so I can have healthier relationships? What a great question. Deanna Ka, what can she do to have healthier relationships? I heard blame yourself less. So if you have a tendency to feel as though you're talking, and this is going to come into test. So this is something I'm seeing to your future, destiny charted future. So if you are socializing, this will, happen with people, of course, you're choosing to socialize with, but, it's in your free will. So it's up to you to make sure that's happening. But you will find going forward, I want to say 3 months, I have it going on at 5 months, I have it going on between the 7th and 8th month, which could be more of a romantic partnership. There are going to be a bunch of situations where you're going to get tested in this area. If you ever feel like you're too much, or you feel like you can't really authentically share whatever it is that you're experiencing, or you feel like the fringe friend, you feel like people don't really want to hear you, or you're bringing them down, I think you're going to need to clean that up a little bit, because the bottom line is you could sometimes pull back in that area a little bit. You could, especially in the past, have been a bit more mindful. I'm not saying you trauma dumped on people, but I'm saying that, like, who or what you shared, we could have reined that in a bit more. I think that understanding that sometimes it is important to share in our personal relationships, friendships, certain family members maybe that we have an intimate connection with, lovers, whatever it is. Sometimes you should be sharing personal stuff that you're processing or struggling with, and it doesn't have to occupy the entire social engagement. It should be limited, yes, and there should be turn taking, but you should not feel guilty about it. You should not feel like you're a bad person or shamed of it, or like it's something I need to hide. It's part of you authentically being yourself and saying, I want to have relationships where I can share what I'm going through. I can also share random information, and we can have a couple good laughs, and we can, also talk about lighter topics, but there needs to be a balance there, because I feel those are the types of relationships you want in your life, and you're more than willing to give a listening ear. You're really good at it, so why shouldn't you receive it? Don't lower your standards going out there. I think that you have attracted people in the past who really just didn't want to hear it, want it to be all about them. And I think that you may also accidentally be attracting some very shallow people who see others as like, maybe they're opportunists, or they see others as like, well, how can they compliment me? And the minute they turn into a human being, it's like, well, that's not complimenting me. Be careful. Review old patterns, and let go of the old and start manifesting, visualizing. The other thing I was seeing was, go out, start new things. So whether it's like dance class, drumming class, it's some art class, get into things where you could show up repeatedly, even more like sound healing and things like this, or yoga, something like that, where you could be around more like-minded. Rebecca says, I have been struggling to conceive, and I know the child chooses us, but do you have any insight as to when, or if ever, I will conceive? So you do have a child who has chosen you. I think that the upcoming year, we could be looking at, I keep seeing a year and 2 months. Now, could this happen in 2 months? I think it could. It could also happen at a year and 2 months, but I was feeling more toward the end of the year. So I'm getting 8th month, 10th. I think that if you just keep doing what you're doing, you would find that there are pockets of time, again, in those time frames that I mentioned, where there's an increased likelihood of movement here. I do also feel like you may want to do a ceremony where you release what hasn't gone right in this area, release it, like, to the gods, to the heavens, to the universe, releasing it from your energy field, releasing it from your mind, releasing it from your heart, because it's almost like an anchor. And I know medically or scientifically, people would be like, that's not a real thing. That couldn't prevent the process. It can. Energetically, yes, it can. Everything starts as an energy before it manifests in a physical form. And allowing yourself to have a ceremony of release, for example, from any type of grief and loss and pain from this process, is you essentially alchemizing it. You're turning it from pain to power, and you're realigning, with your desires in this and making it easier to manifest. I think we need a little more fluidity here. So I would do that as well. Okay. I think we are doing a last call. Okay, so if anyone wants to get in their payment in question, now is the time. We are doing a final call. I do want to ask everyone again, if you have not already, please give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment of any kind. It helps me out in the algorithm. And I wanted to thank everyone too for supporting my shows so much. I used to only do maybe 2 of these a month, and now due to your support, I am able to do them every single week, and I am working up to being able to do 2 per week. Also, TikTok continues to remove my active followers, and they have not shown a new follower in my number count now for, I would say, 1.5 years or more. Even though I get hundreds every day, I don't see the results of that. So I know that TikTok is dedicated to shutting me down. They always have been. But if you really want to support me, you can switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy. It allows me to do more. All right, Lavender Time says, just want to go over a couple of these feedback points. Lavender Time says, absolutely, I have some energy vampires around that definitely need to be completely removed, and it has taken a toll on my physical well-being and sleep schedule, so I'm tired. There you go. Okay. Yeah, you can't make that stuff up. We have to set better boundaries. I think that's really for everybody right now. I think everyone's watching as the narcissistic collapse is going on, and we're, this is a real thing. And so we're not just seeing the narcissist collapse, we're seeing people with narcissistic tendencies also more clearly than we ever have. And I think we're all feeling it energetically as a bigger toll than it's ever been, and we're setting better boundaries. Laura said, thank you, Laura. Laura said, I had an awesome reading. I highly recommend. All right. Thank you, Laura. And Mairead, I saw you pop something up. Do you want to put that back up? What is that? Okay. So we have another question here. Okay. From Mairead. Mairead says, will I be seeing Dan this weekend? We haven't talked too much, but I still feel like we may get together soon. This weekend? What is today? Today is Wednesday. All right, will she be seeing Dan this weekend? Yeah, it seems like you both have something going on Saturday night. So it's kind of like, are we fitting this in between other things? Will these other plans work out? Can we do both? So there's a question of like, can we do both? I see the fire pit. I see a fire pit in his yard, and it feels like Saturday night going into Sunday. So that can mean that you're hanging out Saturday night going into Sunday. It can also mean that you shift it because of this other complication I see coming in, this other social engagement. You shift it into Sunday. So I think there is a high likelihood that you guys get together. I do think it's important to just have sort of a quiet day if you get together. It may be a great time for you guys to just sort of enjoy each other's energy and company and keep the words to a minimum. Get things a little bit back on track. Okay. All right. I think I got to everyone. Are we at time? I want to invite you guys to tune in next Wednesday. I will be back for the Unbound Sage, where you drop a $10 donation and I deliver out whatever is the most important message for you to hear at that time. If you need to book with me, in the meantime, a psychic fair, a party, a reading, I do work internationally. You can go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Mairead. Have a good night, everybody.